And there's a summary that I like white better, and here it is. Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, and a creature of the mind only, a government can interface only with other artificial persons. The imaginary, having neither actuality nor substance, is foreclosed from creating and attaining parity with the tangible. The legal manifestation of this is that no government, as well as any law, agency, aspect, court, etc., can concern itself with anything other than corporate artificial persons and the contracts between them. You know, and then if you think about that, essentially what it is saying is that there's nothing the government can do to affect we the people. And that's true. And if they're doing anything to you, it's because you got yourself into that. That's really the bottom line. You got yourself into it, and you can get yourself out of it. Because all you have to do is say, is there a contract here? I'm the king. And you just watch them scatter like roaches when you turn the lights on. This is something to keep in mind. If a citizen acquires the same legal status or artificial character as those protected by the amendment through the operation of some statutory law of Congress, then said citizen may be brought within the venue of the amendment as a statutory juristic person. By this means, citizens become birthrights of no effect, and their rights are reduced to the inferior character of statutory civil rights. Okay, see that? Statutory civil rights are mere legislative privileges, and that is exactly what it is. Okay, that's the difference between civil rights and unalienable rights. And this is taken from a book called The Non-Ratification of the 14th Amendment by a Judge A.H. Ellett of the Utah Supreme Court. And there's, in my other presentations, there'll be some more quotes out of that that you'll find very interesting. So again, this is talking about color of law, okay, and how you can get into what they view to be contracts. And again, if you establish yourself as the king, they will run and hide. This is taken from the Interpretation Act of Canada. Okay, Canada, for greater certainty, includes the internal waters of Canada and the territorial sea of Canada. Okay, so that doesn't include Alberta. It doesn't include Ontario. It doesn't include Saskatchewan. It doesn't include any of those places and any of those states. Okay, because actually they are states. Person, or any word or expression descriptive of a person, is a corporation. So what's that got to do with me? Okay, you read any of their statutes and you say in the beginning of this Interpretation Act, it says in an act, Canada, for greater certainty, okay, it says that right at the beginning of this section, section 35.1. This Canada, Alberta Interpretation Act. Person includes a corporation, the heirs, executors, administrators, or the legal representatives of a person. Okay, so what's that got to do with me? What's that got to do with any living soul? Everyone, person, and owner, and similar expressions include Her Majesty in an organization. That's in the Criminal Code of Canada. That means that there's nothing in the Criminal Code that affects living souls. You think about that. Now this is actually correct. And this is why you don't want to be in a corporation. Okay? A municipality includes a corporation of a city, town, village, county, township, parish, or other territorial or local subdivision of a province, the inhabitants of which are incorporated are entitled to hold property collectively for a public purpose. So you don't want to be, you know, when you put on your documents in Canada, okay, Province of Ontario, well, Province of Ontario is a corporation, okay? City of Toronto is a corporation, okay? If you want to be in a corporation, then you are a corporation and you have no rights and you're a piece of property. You're a slave and you've just volunteered into it. Driver. Driver means a person. So what's that got to do with me? If I'm not a person, then I'm not a driver. That's in Alberta. Prerogatives. Okay, remember those court cases that talk about prerogatives? No enactment is binding on Her Majesty or her affects Her Majesty or her rights or prerogatives in any manner unless expressly names her. And so then think about it. If she is not bound, then why would we the people be bound? She has the oath of office to us. That's in Section 14 of the BC Motor Vehicle Act. Owner includes a person, so you don't want to be an owner. Ontario, in every act and regulation, person includes a corporation. So, hello, the lights are on. Is anybody home? What's that got to do with me? In this act, driver means a person who drives a vehicle. It's a person again. Ontario Highway Traffic Act. Public Utilities Act. They're all the same. You know, they go and have different people write them up, and these lawyers lay awake at night dreaming this stuff up. But they are all, you know, it's easy. You know, I find this really easy, much easier than having to follow all their code rules and regulations, because all I need to do is go to the beginning in the definition section and see that it doesn't apply to me, and then that's all I need to know. What do I need to do with it for? And so, again, but look at this. It says if any person supplied with any public utility neglects to pay, okay, then it talks about how they can disconnect them. Well, they don't have authority to disconnect living souls, then do they? And there's people I know that do that. There's a guy I know in Edmonton that will, they'll send a bill to the straw man, the all block capital letters thing with a postal code, and he'll write on the outside, refuse for fraud, and send it back, and immediately call them up and say, you know, I got this bill here today, but you guys had it sent to a postal code and to all block capital letters, and that's not me, and that's fraud, and so I had to send it back. But I really want to pay this bill, so if you send it to me in upper and lower case and with no postal code, I'll be happy to pay for it. I have a religious objection to being a corporation. I think it's an insult to God, and so I can't do that. But if you'll send it to me, the living soul, I'll be happy to pay the bill. And next month, same thing. All block capital letters, postal code. Next month, refuse for fraud. Next month, calls them up. Then the following month, same thing. 16 months later, he's still got the service, and he hasn't paid a nickel, and they keep sending him this bill in all block capital letters. And so the point is that, and then what he did is he decided to move, so he changed providers, and he got it disconnected. They forgave him the bill. Do you know who you are? That actually goes to the theory that for the sovereigns, everything's prepaid. And they're trying to get you to volunteer in. And that's exactly what's going on. So if you want to volunteer in, I guess if you want to volunteer to be a slave, you can volunteer to be a slave. In this act, even Indians are persons. Okay, so First Nations, if you think you're an Indian, well, you just volunteered in. An elector is a person. Okay? U.S. This is U.S. The words persons and whoever include corporations, companies, associations, firms, partners, societies, joint stock companies, as well as individuals. Okay, so it's all corporate. Okay, this is not just Canada, it's U.S., it's everywhere I've looked. You know, I can't tell you. Texas Transportation Code. Person means an individual, firm, partnership, association, or corporation. Well, that's all fictitious entities. Person, Texas Government Code. And person includes a corporation, organization, governmental subdivision, any other legal entity. Okay? What's that got to do with me? Owner means a person. I mean, they have different lawyers that are doing this stuff up, but you know, they still have to follow the law. Police officer means an officer authorized to direct traffic or arrest persons. They don't have authority to arrest living souls. Do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? State. This is kind of interesting. When referring to a part of the United States, includes any state, district, commonwealth, territory, insular possession, and any area subject to the legislative authority of the United States. Okay, well, that sounds like District of Columbia, Guam, American Samoa, Puerto Rico. And just D.C., Guam, American Samoa, Puerto Rico. It doesn't say anything about Texas there. And the United States includes a department, bureau, or other agency of the United States. State has the meaning assigned in the other section we just read, and includes a province of Canada. Well, think about that now. A province of Canada, if you go into the Canadian Interpretation Act, it says a province of Canada is Yukon Territory, Northwest Territories, and none of it. Well, it doesn't say it's Alberta or BC, so remember, that's not Alberta or BC, because even according to the Canadian Interpretation Act, a state is, you know, the frozen north, basically, which is even more frozen than the rest of Canada.